But maybe your child lies because they feel threatened, or they feel unsafe, or they feel fearful of the consequences. So let's say it's something about a math test, and they lie about that they really didn't do well on it, and they lie that they did well. They say, "Oh yeah, I did well," but then you find out that they got an F on it, and you're like, "Yeah, why did you lie?" And then that response is, "Well, I was afraid that you would get mad at me." And then your response is, "I'm more mad because you lied, not because you got the F. Tell me the truth." Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and joy while providing mental illness awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental health in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. Enjoy, and tonight I bring to you episode 42, ADHD and Lying. Is there a relation? Is there a connection with your kids lying and the fact that they have ADHD? Or is there any scientific explanation behind lying? Lying is one of those things that give parents headaches, especially when your little kiddo is lying consistently and won't stop, despite therapy or despite ADHD medication. So I'm here to just have a conversation about what do we do when our kids lie? Is it a problem? When is it a problem? What we should do about it? And just kind of some advice or understanding behind it that might make you feel a little reassured, maybe. Because I know for me as a parent, lying is very crucial. I feel like if you lie about something real soft and gentle, or a white lie, as they say, it means you're probably going to lie about something, worse in the future. So there's that slippery slope. And most parents feel like if their kid's going to lie about something, it's huge and it really, makes them upset. So I'm not knocking that at all, because I'm definitely one of those people that get upset if my child lies. I came across this article, as I mentioned last week. Jessica, my BFF social worker, therapy friend, owner of Therapy for Black Women, she sent this article to me. It's actually from ADDitude. ADDitude spelled with ADDitude. There's a couple of articles actually about ADHD and lying. One of them is called Fight, Flight, Freeze, or Fib. And the other one is called The Truth About Your Child's Lying. So there's actually a couple here. And it's really interesting. The first one, Fight, Flight, Freeze, or Fib. Because when we talk about our flight or fight response, we're thinking about a response to trauma or a response to something urgent or emergent where our fight or flight system kicks in. So if something is traumatic or something is emergent that's happening, you're either going to fight the thing that's happening or you're going to flight and you're going to run away. So what this article is looking at is there's also a freeze mechanism, which we may have heard of, fight, flight, or freeze, where you're like, you don't do anything. You're just kind of frozen. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm traumatized right now and I'm frozen. But then they're adding or fib. As if when you are in a situation that's urgent or you feel threatened or you feel unsafe and it leads to a fib. That is very interesting to think about. So when I read this article, what it goes into saying is that maybe your child, and maybe it's not just your child, maybe it's some adults that you know, but maybe your child lies because they feel threatened or they feel unsafe or they feel fearful of the consequences. So let's say it's something about a math test, and they lie about that they really didn't do well on it, and they lie that they did well. They say, "Oh yeah, I did well," but then you find out that they got an F on it, and you're like, "Yeah, why did you lie?" And then that response is, "Well, I was afraid that you would get mad at me." And then your response is, "I'm more mad because you lied, not because you got the F. Tell me the truth." So then you're just really mad at them because they lied to you, and your focus is on that and how they're just an awful person because they lied, when really we should calm down and take a step back and try to figure out, well, why did they lie? Well, if your child has ADHD, they already have trouble slowing down their thoughts and thinking before they speak. They already have impulsivity. Impulsivity is a symptom of ADHD. Impulsivity means you're literally doing things without thinking and you're saying things without thinking. So it's just like, bam. So if you add on top of this theory about the fib with the flight, freeze, or fib, if the fib is a defense mechanism when they feel threatened that if I tell the truth that I failed this test, I'm gonna get a whooping, or they're gonna be really mad at me, or I won't be able to go play outside. So if they feel really threatened, whatever the threat is, maybe to you it's like, well, why are you threatened by that? That's nothing. But it's huge to them. Then the first automatic thing that they do is a lie and say, oh yeah, I got an A, or oh no, I didn't get the test back. So that's really a quick thing that they do, and they're not thinking about the consequences of the lie because it's too quick. They're not thinking about it. It's impulsive. So when you think about it from that viewpoint, it's like, let me take a step back. They're really fearful of what might happen. They don't feel unsafe in the situation. What can I do to make them feel safe? Is it my reaction in the past that's made them feel unsafe in order to feel free to say, yeah, I got this test back? Because a lot of times we get so fearful when our children do things, or if it is the example of the test, then we're like, oh, they're never going to be anything in life. And we get all fearful, and our fear turns into anger. And then that anger that we have towards them turns into their fear against us, which, according to this article, is saying that they tend to lie without thinking about the consequences in order to save themselves in that moment. They're not thinking about the future. So there's a lot there as far as making a safe space for our children, but also understanding the mechanism behind that. At first, when I was reading it, I was like, I don't know about this, but it actually does make sense. When I have parents, and it's usually parents who are seeing me because their children have ADHD, where they're concerned about their child lying. And people see me when the kids are on medication. I prescribe medication, but I also do a little bit of therapy in my medication management appointments. And so usually when they're asking me about lying, I'm like, well, I'm going to keep the medication the same. There's not much I can do from a medication standpoint to reduce your child's lying. What are you guys talking about in therapy? What can you guys work on in therapy? So lying is something where therapeutically it can be effective to learn therapeutic strategies that can help reduce that lying, to get behind why are they lying, what's going on. However, in this standpoint, it seems that if lying, and I do explain this to my patients' parents as well, if the lying is a result of their impulsivity, which is also a result of their ADHD, maybe an adjustment in that medication can technically lead to a reduction of lying. So that's something to think about for sure. The other article, again on ADDitude, ADD, not the other attitude, the truth about your child's lying, it talks about the same thing. ADHD and lying are intertwined. Lying is an impulsive thing. You're not thinking behind it. And ADHD, you get impulsivity. And the inability to stay on task. You also see some irresponsibility. So you might continue to see lying when it comes to ADHD. So understanding the reason behind that can be helpful. So what do we do when our kids lie? Do you punish your kids when they lie? Oh yeah, I do. But I'm starting to take a step back where it's like, well, maybe I should think about this a little more and kind of understand where they're coming from when they lie. Because I definitely am one, well, I'm going to take away your phone because you lie. You're going to have to do this because you lie. Because the idea is to create these uh, beings that aren't lying and add value to the community. However, if they're consistently lying, well, why is that? Are they pathologic liars? Probably not. Your child is probably not a pathologic liar. Your child is probably not a pathologic liar. There's probably some reasoning behind it, which is why I'm talking about ADHD and lying today. If there's some problems at school, there's some problems with peers, maybe we should deal with the lying as an academic or social skills problem. If they're lying about something socially or lying about something academically, well, how about we deal with why the child got an F on the math test in the first place? Why are we putting so much focus on they lied rather than they got an F. So what do you need to do to raise your grade? Or they lied about being bullied. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Why are they lying about being bullied? You're focused on the fact that they lied when they're being bullied. Let's build them up. Let's help them learn positive affirmations and resilience so they can face the bully as opposed to really being focused on, okay, why did you lie to me? Or oh, you lied to me and being mad at them. Because us continuing to be mad at our children for lying continues to perpetuate that lying. And if it really is a result of, I feel threatened in this emergent situation and I'm quickly going to lying because I feel unsafe, then we want to undo that by taking a step back, breathing, and just listening to our children. Okay, why did you feel threatened in this moment where you chose to lie? And over time, you will see them slow down and tell the truth. If they're being deliberate and malicious and, it involves like alcohol, drugs, shoplifting, any type of delinquent behavior, that's different. You want to definitely deal with that more consistently and forcibly. If we want to reduce it, I mean, I do believe in this article talks about establishing consequences for telling lies and, discuss that with your teen because in collaborating with your teen and talking to them ahead of time, they're old enough to understand, you know, what you're talking about. So it is okay to collaborate with them and, what should the consequence be? Do you understand why lying is bad? Why do you think you lied in the moment? And, I know I confront lying when it happens. So don't let it build up. Talk to them, but do so in a calm and respectful manner. So if you are not calm in the moment because you feel a certain way because they lied to you, maybe come back, take a deep breath, think through it a little bit. Think about how you would have responded if you were that child. There's that empathy. The empathy helps. And without criticizing them and blaming them for that lie, talk to them. So I'm learning from this article myself as well. And just being consistent and fair with the consequences. So if you give them a consequence, be consistent with it. This is your consequence. Don't undo it if that's what you said. And, be consistent. So, and demanding that accountability by your child. They know what they did wrong. They know what the consequence is and demand that accountability. Another thing is when you find out they're lying, you're not promoting, but you're giving credit or attention to that bad behavior. More than likely, they're not lying all the time. So when they're not lying, they're being honest. Recognize their honesty and reward that honesty. So then that cuts down on the lying and they realize, oh, wait, they're praising me for doing the right thing. Again, that helps them kind of slow down and think through what they are doing or saying or not saying. And, just be honest with yourself. Parents are the strongest role models in their teens' lives. So you are there. You are their role model. So you need to be honest and tell the truth too. They're watching you. I said this last week on parenting challenges. They are watching you. They are sponges. They are listening. So, how can you be a lie detector? Because it seems like as a parent, we have to be lie detectors to even understand if they're lying. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been kids and we've all done the same thing. We've all been fearful of what our child, what our parents might say or think about what we've done. So we may have told those white lies too. Is the statement consistent? An honest statement is typically clear and consistent. If they're saying the same thing over and over again, they're probably not lying. If they're consistently saying it. Now, if they're consistently saying a lie, that's different. Now it's like, well, you need to be punished. If you are consistently lying about that thing, that's beyond that impulsive ADHD symptom. But a lie is often, of course, sketchy and, it's contradictory information. They're just like making up different things. Obviously, that's what a lie can be. And does it tell a story that sounds rehearsed? Are they stuttering and stumbling on, or does it seem like they kind of thought it through? Like, oh, I can definitely tell if my child is lying for sure. I will tell those details, for the sake of his privacy. But yeah, facial expressions, body language, so looking at those things, but talking to your child. We're talking about children who are preteens and teenagers. They're old enough to listen, they're old enough to start to understand right and wrong. Talk to them, collaborate with them. And if it is ADHD, make sure you are seeking help for your child. And you don't have to put them on medication just because they're diagnosed with it or just because you are in their office, but learning the strategies, the behavior modification strategies, whatever type of therapy can definitely be helpful without medication. And if they do need medication, that's okay too. And maybe it'll help the lying. Usually over time, children learn not to lie, whether it's because of impulsivity or because of them starting to become more safe in that moment. But yeah, yeah. Thank you for listening. Coming to you quickly today, talking about ADHD and lying. Can't wait for next week. We're going to talk about parenting children with mental illness. So that includes how to deal with your children with ADHD, how to deal with your children or yeah, how to deal with them, how to cope with them, how to handle children when they're experiencing severe depression, anxiety, whatever the mental illness is. And I'll have a guest, Dr. Naidu, who will join me. So that will be a pre-recorded session that will post next Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I will see you next.